So everyone knows what's happening is we're just getting our YouTube channel live so we can have this as a publicly streamed meeting. So that's what we're waiting on right now. Once the CAO confirms back that we're live and ready to go, I'll call the meeting to order.
Okay, we should be good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for participating tonight. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:04. I'd like to start with an adoption of the agenda. May I please have a motion to do so?
I'd so move, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. May I have a seconder, please, for that motion?
Ever heard a second?
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Any objection? I'm hearing none. Thank you. Any disclosure of interest from any council member at the table tonight?
None.
I'm hearing none. Thank you. Moving on. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for joining tonight. I want to let everyone know that the purpose of this meeting is to review the zoning application request pertaining to Plan 243, Block K, lots 41, 44, and 49 on Green Street. I think it's prudent to note, and I'd like everyone to understand that this meeting is to deal with the rezoning of the land only, and it does not provide consent nor approval for a specific development. That would be dealt with through a site plan and building approval process that would need to be vetted and approved through council at a different time and through a different process. This meeting specifically is designed to hear concerns or comments from the community and answer questions that council or the public may have and give the developer and the applicant an opportunity maybe to answer firsthand some of the concerns that might be needing to be addressed tonight. So with that being said, I just wanted to let everyone know the reason for this meeting is such. Does staff, CAO, do you have anything you'd like to comment on before I move forward with the meeting?
No, I didn't receive any objections from any of our service bodies that I'm required to give notice to. And I have listed the delegation from Cliff Mitchell, the petition, and the withdrawal from Steve Kinney from the previous meeting. But also council should have a letter from Juliet Paquette and a recent email from Sylvia Jackson, who would like to speak tonight.
Thank you very much. With that being said, we have the application, which we've all seen. This is actually the second time that we've been able to see this application at council. This is the formal, this is the statutory meeting to proceed. So unless there's any questions regarding correspondence 5.1, 3.39, I would like to get the delegations on the table so we can start hearing from the public and getting this meeting going. Does anyone have any questions with respect to 5.1 at this time? And I have no problem circling back if the agenda brings us back to it. Council's wishes?
Ever heard us? I move to proceed.
Thank you very much, sir. Seconder.
Councillor Hudson.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hudson. Any objection? Hearing none? Carried. First off, I'd like to call Cliff Mitchell to speak on behalf of his delegation request.
I don't think he's here, Dan.
He did not show up. Okay, then what I will, as I will call, may I have Ray Rowden please speak against the petition that was presented to council. Ray, thank you very much for coming tonight. You have the floor.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, and that this has been kind of sprung on the neighborhood. We just found out about it, what, less than 2 months ago, and it was a complete surprise and shock, shall we say. And as a group, we just feel we would prefer that land be developed as the current neighborhood is, single family dwellings and that sort of thing. And that.
We do also have another problem. I'm Lillian Paul, his wife, in that the people that did own it and purchased the land at first leveled the ground situation, and the following around Christmas area and into the spring, because of that, it had flooded Chase and Melissa's property and our property because the grading was not done right. So we have concerns about that issue.
Thank you very much. Ray or Lillian, do either of you have any further comments that you would like to discuss at this point in time, or bring any concerns? Or do you have any questions specifically that you would like addressed? Please note that this is just simply a rezoning application. So stuff like grading, stuff like as far as traffic flow goes, those type of things, they will all come up at a site plan. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get all the concerns of the community. So when we're sitting down looking at which most likely will be an application moving forward sometime, that we'll be able to incorporate any of the concerns that the local community may have.
Mhm.
So that's what this meeting's for. So was there any specific question that you might want to direct to anyone at this point in time? Or are you just looking to have your voices heard?
The one specific issue that I have is once we have filled out that petition and the concerns of all the neighborhood, is it going to be noticed or?
So what would happen with the petition? So what I would be asking council for tonight, if like say for example, there's a couple of different scenarios. Council, I have no idea what council is going to do tonight. Well, I'll give you a few different examples. If council decides that they do not want to go proceed with the rezoning, then the issue dies today. If council decides that they want to proceed with the rezoning, then it goes to a next process. A building application is then made to the community, and a site plan will then have to be looked at. Now, at that time, all the petitions and all the concerns raised by the community would then go over to our planning department. Our planning department would then use that in negotiations with the developer to ensure that any community concerns are addressed at that point in time, and the specific ones are addressed. I'm seeing a variety of different concerns being raised. Some are being the infrastructure of the road. Some are asking about the safety. Some are saying, congestion of traffic. We've already spoken with the OPP. We are preparing to try to answer all these questions and concerns if a building application is to proceed and be forthcoming. So long way around it, Lillian, to answer your question, would the concerns raised in the petition be addressed? They will absolutely be addressed one way or the other.
Okay, so if you approve the zoning change tonight, the petition moves forward to the planning process as well.
I would say so the concerns with respect. So let me ask you this: what are you expecting from the petition? Like, what type of result? Like, you presented a petition to council, I believe, to try to petition council to get our ear to look at specific concerns raised. So with that being said, that will get received by council. Council will have received that and have read your correspondence. What specific action are you looking for or are you expecting from your petition?
We were hoping that the property would remain as is zoned now for single family dwellings.
Okay, very well. Thank you very much. Any additional comments from you or Lillian?
I do have a concern in regards to fire hydrants. If this is being built and concerns about that issue, sometimes when things are built and proper insurance. We have a shed that's located at the back of our yard. Our neighbor 2 doors down from us also has a fence. There could be issues with fire, and there isn't a fire hydrant that is close to that building area.
So what will happen as part of the site planning and part of the infrastructure needs is we will be working with, the process would be is we would work with the municipal streets department. We would work with infrastructure to make sure that it has all the applicable infrastructure needed. Our fire department would be looking in there. They'd be taking a look at where the closest hydrant is and seeing how they would be able to service that area specifically. In addition, our streets department would be looking at specific areas of infrastructure that might need upgrades, such as roads. And then this would also go into a budget and planning discussion with council for infrastructure needs and upgrades that may be required in that area in order to keep it, in order to bring it up to I guess, council's desire to have it blend into the neighborhood. That would be done in consultation with the developer, as well as through municipal budgeting process for certain municipal things. What I think is ideal is in this situation is council's trying to find out if there's a win-win-win for everyone, a win for the developer, win for all of the town, because these type of things do bring in additional revenue, as well as looking at the concerns raised by the local area, making sure those are addressed as well.
And
So-
we understand that if there could be additional revenue, and we've noticed as we've lived here over the 5 years that is Besser, and I have nothing against him, but that if they were single-family dwellings, that would be appropriate for that area as well.
So the way it goes right now with all of our standard developments, the gentleman would be available. He'd be able to put duplexes on that property because that is part of it. So a single family is, although each property is available to do a single family, but they're already by law you're already allowed to do a +1 as well.
Okay.
So there would be a possibility if the developer chooses not to get the rezoning for this, he could look at other options. So I'm just letting you know that is also on the table and an option based on our current bylaws.
Mhm.
So that would also be. Are you familiar with what this development is? Have you seen
Yes,
it? There's
it's
an
going to be-
identical one downtown.
It's going to be
Yes.
similar to the one that's near the water treatment plant.
Absolutely. That is the proposal. I just want to make sure because there seems to be a bit of confusion with some of the petitions some of the concerns that were being raised, that this is a government funded Hastings County social housing program, which it is not. And I just wanted to make sure that's clarified for everybody at the table tonight.
And we
Okay.
understand that. Another issue is privacy. A lot of the neighbors have been here longer, much longer than us, and we understand that. But some of the concerns that we came across when we were here, some people saying, oh, they were going to move if this occurred. And their families that have been in this area, as we said, much longer. It is a concern. We love all our neighbors, and the reason why we did this was because we heard disappointment in speaking with them.
So to that point, stuff like privacy would be considered. We would look at during the site plan. We would work with the developer. We would look at the concerns. We would try to find ways that would help if this were to go through. We would try to find ways to help maintain as much privacy. This is an issue you have with any infilling in any law in Toronto. Everybody who gets an application usually has this exact same concern about privacy. So we understand that is a concern. But on every lot, it is a concern. Whenever you're doing an infilling project anywhere, privacy is definitely a concern. At our previous meeting, we did speak with the contractor, the applicant, and he had said that he is willing to work with some of the concerns in order to try to alleviate any of the strains on that area with respects to privacy. And we would definitely look at that, and we would make those we would make those considerations heard at the time of a site plan or a building permit application process if this process were to move forward. So if you take a look at the area, some of the concerns we've seen was road condition. I've seen concerns with respects to what you just said about hydro. I've seen concerns with respects to traffic signage. We all need to understand that this is underdeveloped land at this point in time. So of course you're going to see all of those things at this point in time. It'd actually be ridiculous for us to consider allowing a development to go on there without looking at road improvements or privacy fences or additional signage or having the OPP come in and do a traffic study of that area to make sure that the concerns that were being raised about children getting hit by cars is either valid or not, and we would put in the right provisions in order to address those concerns. Like I said, it would be absolutely ridiculous for council to make that decision so frivolously. And I can tell you right now, we will not do that. We will take the concerns that we hear. We will work with our planning department. We will work with the contractor. We will work with the Hastings County and within our power to try to make sure that this is a win-win-win for everybody in this community. Other parts of the community are saying they like to see development, but they don't like to see it in their own, right beside them. I get that. I've lived in this town my whole life. My ball diamond is now a Hastings County social housing. There were concerns that real estate values were going to go down because that went in there. That didn't happen. My parents' old house just sold for double what my mom and dad sold it for a year ago. Double.
And I understand that. Some of the other concerns we heard was there's the seniors that live on the street right behind where this development is going to happen. And they're concerned about the noise. They're concerned about people on four-wheelers, motorcycles, everything else, and increasing the speed. And they just want quiet, peace and quiet.
I appreciate people's desire for peace and quiet, but as far as as far as four-wheelers, ATVs, and speed goes, I don't fully feel a development in that area is going to bring in four-wheelers and ATVs, but it would definitely have it'd be definitely something that we would definitely want to work with our streets department and our local police to make sure that any safety concerns that you just expressed are going to be considered. As far as additional noise goes, into that area, any development is going to bring additional noise, and we understand that. We will do everything we can to limit any impact if this rezoning application were to go through. Please understand, this is just a rezoning application for property. It is not an application or permission to build.
Okay. That comes down the line.
That will come down the line. They will not be coming through a public meeting process. That's what this is for. We want to hear your concerns. We want to hear any sort of we want to know. We have council member who lives right up there. My grandmother lives right up there. I'm very familiar with that with that area. What we want to, I believe we have another council member who has a brother and sister right around the corner. So we are very integrated in this community. We understand, we hear it. We hear it at our Christmas dinners. We definitely are in tune. We want to hear the concerns now. So if this were to go through and a subsequent building application comes through, we can best represent all of our community, not just the surrounding area of Green Street, but do what's best for our school, for our water treatment plant, for our arena, and for our overall tax base. So
And
that's our goal.
I understand that. One of the issues we've noticed since we've been here in the 5 years, and Isbester did build our place, was that every time it rains, we have 3 duplexes side by side, that the water issue that's down on Brant Street is terrible. It's like a big pool of water at the front of our homes, and nothing has been done about that. My concern is what I said, when the people flattened the land, and then that following winter, we had conditions that flooded our entire backyard. We had ice about 2 inches thick in each one of our containers. We have containers out that we store things for our gardening, and that was just ridiculous. We were under the understanding that the people that we met, they were a husband and wife, said that they were going to build a house, a pool, and a garage on that site. And then now it's changing.
Absolutely. That's exactly what council was working on a few years ago as well, when that lady came to council and asked for the rezoning of that property. Once that deal fell through, I believe she sold it to the applicant now, and the applicant is starting a new process. As far as grading goes, I'm not an engineer. I don't do roads planning. I don't do grading, but I do have a little bit of a clue when it comes to building stuff. I assure you that grading would be definitely brought up to proper grade and inspected through our property standards and building inspector before anything goes on there.
And
Sorry?
you are the mayor, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what I'd like to see is for you to come and see the backyard of our place to see how much land that would have to be graded down. It's almost, I'd say, about 1 foot to 2 feet. That I don't understand how that's going to happen, and what kind of drainage system you're going to put in place to stop our backyards from not being flooded.
Well, I don't believe that we're going to put in any drainage system specifically, but I believe that if I give the opportunity to the planner to discuss some of those concerns, if we can put a specific concern on the table with respects to that property, I will be more than happy to have Sean or Andrew address that concern, because it's in all fairness, Lillian, that's a little bit out of my wheelhouse of how that's going to be achieved, but I can tell you it will be achieved. So would you allow me to have the opportunity to have Andrew or Sean answer your question for you, Lillian?
Yes, or I'd like, as I said, you to just come and look at the properties to see.
I have no problem after this meeting setting up an appointment to come seeing you. I could even bring our streets foreman with me as well in order to help me provide that additional guidance. However, for the purpose of tonight's meeting, would you like a comment from Mr. Isbester at this time, or no? Because like I said, I will reach out to you after the meeting's over. I got another one. I have another meeting and then I have to work tomorrow, but I will try to work with our streets department to come up, and I'll have Joe. He lives right across the street from you anyways. We'll go up there and we'll take a look at your concerns to make sure that if this goes through, it's properly represented. But in order to answer a question specifically with someone who has the expertise to answer it, I believe we have somebody at the table right now that could assist if you so desire. But
That's fine.
but I assure you, I will come and see you.
Okay, that's fine.
Would you like a comment from the developer at this time?
That's fine. I've heard from some of our neighbors already that it did not go well, the first meeting, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Andrew, would you like to make a comment with respect to any draining issues
Yeah,
that you
no
might be aware
problem
of
at
at this
all.
time?
Yeah, no problem at all. And I did have a meeting with one of the other folks on Brant Street, which actually went very, very well. We had addressed lots of issues there. But with regards to this flooding issue, like I can go through all of the stuff that was talked about, but I'll just specifically talk about the grading / flooding issues. It will not be. In fact, it will be a moot issue when it's all said and done. And I'll tell you why, is that site right now that is on Green Street is probably 2 feet high. So you making the comment, Lillian, about it being 2 feet high is exactly right. It will be lowered. In fact, a lot of the spill piles from where your house is now, I suspect you must live in 216 or 218 or 220.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in those places, when those basements were dug, when I redid that entire street, et cetera, a lot of that fill ended up on those back lots, because I had like 2 previous owners. I had an agreement with him. Could I put my spill piles there? He said, yes, we may use the fill on another job somewhere else, and so on and so forth. And that was fine. When Mrs. Burak came in there and she bought it, she went in and had it leveled, but she didn't have anything trucked away. She really, truly should have had stuff trucked away, but I think she's just trying to make the property look aesthetically, basically make it look decent. So she knocked all the piles down, which obviously isn't right, because there needs to be a tremendous amount of fill that needs to be taken out of there. You're probably going to see in excess of 100 triaxle truckloads of fill leave that site, because number one, there's excess fill from the development that happened on Brant, and secondarily, just from a topographical point of view, the site was too high anyway. So what's going to happen is that this thing's been engineered so that there is no watershed. There'll be a perfect swale in the back, directing all the water to all the ditches. You won't, once we're done with our development, you won't have that issue, bottom line. Like we are not allowed to do it. It can't happen through the site plan process. And you are correct in what you're saying 100%, that land is probably 2 feet too high right now. I recognize that. I know that in my plans, the engineered plans that are already done, they recognize that there's a lot of fill that has to come off that site. There's a lot of grading that has to happen, and it will all be done during the construction process, where you guys will not in any shape or form encounter what you're encountering right now.
Okay.
That's good to hear.
Thank you, Andrew. I have Sean showing some interest to speak. Are you completed speaking, and would Sean like to have a moment?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I'm fine.
fine.
Okay, Sean, I see. Oh yeah, you've taken yourself off mute. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a few words to say about a number of issues that were raised at the previous public meeting, but I just wanted to hit this one right away for you and show you the grading and drainage plan that was submitted with the rezoning and site plan applications. And then perhaps we can hear from the rest of the members of the public, and then I can perhaps go at the end and just sort of go through the points and try to address them sort of after all the concerns have been noted.
So Sean, what you're asking is whether or not we could give you an opportunity at the end, towards the end of the meeting, to discuss briefly the grading plan?
Well, I was just going to suggest I hit that right now for you, just to wrap that up, and then
How
go at the
long would
end.
that take, Sean?
Maybe a minute or two.
Oh, absolutely. The only thing
Yeah,
is I just want to make sure that they have we have enough time in this meeting to address their concerns, and that this maybe wouldn't be a better offline discussion between you and them, but feel free to proceed.
Yeah, if I could just have screen sharing ability, that would be great.
Christine, we would like to allow Sean to share a screen for a moment, please.
I'm not able to do that, Sean. I don't want to mess with anything because last time I muted everybody and couldn't get it.
Oh, okay. Well, I do have the grading plan in front of me, and I can confirm
Was
that.
it on the, was it in the documents that were sent?
It was in the documentation
On the USB?
provided in the submission, but I don't believe it's in the agenda package.
It's on the USB stick?
Yeah, it is.
Well, I have building plans.
Sean, I'm going to give the CAO a moment to see if she can locate it. And I'm going to move on with the meeting in order to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to speak.
Yep.
I do appreciate you doing that. Like, let's give Christine a chance because she wasn't prepared to show this document. Christine, in all fairness, Sean just has to hit share screen.
Yeah, I just have to hit the share screen. I've got it right up.
That's all he has to do.
All right.
Yeah, if I could just get
I'm willing to risk it.
Okay.
Let's do it, Sean.
All right, just let me know when you're ready, Christine.
Please.
Well, am I supposed to see something when you hit?
We're all going to see it.
I just need permission.
So how do I give you permission?
I'm seeing your screen, but it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Thank you, Christine. I appreciate this. I think it'd be beneficial.
Perhaps while instead of dealing with technical issues, I can just simply confirm that there is a backyard swale that is proposed along the west property line. And so that will pick up the drainage along that side, and it's being directed to the North Street drainage ditch. So that will deal with a lot of concerns along to the west. I'm not specifically clear on where these folks live, whether they're to the south, but all that drainage will be directed appropriately away from the property lines. And everyone is absolutely correct. And I can confirm that by law, we are required to not drain onto neighbors' properties. So I just wish to confirm that as well. And I'll return the floor back to the chair.
Sean and Andrew, if the zoning approval does go through, they brought up a current concern with the property. How much effort would it take to quell the current concern, or does it have to be done I guess in alignment with a building request? Because there by everyone's account today, it sounds like there's some grading issues on that piece of property, and the next steps are going to take some time if we were to proceed. So what could be done in order to help the interim situation? I see Andrew took himself off of mute, so I imagine he's going to answer.
Yeah, there's not a lot that we can do at the very short term, but you say it's going to be a fairly lengthy process until we're there. I don't see that it's going to be a lengthy process because, there's lots of things to talk about with regards to the site plan, be it whatever it is, fencing, grading, parking lot orientation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I can still go and service the lot, right? So we can service our lands through even a secondary agreement to have a site plan that I can service the lot and then have a site plan for the building or whatever it would be. So in terms of a long period of time, we're in February right now, like I'm hoping, that we're going to get going in the spring. So if that's the case, like we'll be moving right in there. And the very first order of business will be to clear the land with the excess fill and to grade it properly so that we can do anything. There's not a lot we can do right now unless I had an able body that wanted to take fill, which there will be lots of people out there, but not until the spring. Like it'll be a very, very short-term amount of pain for us to be able to. What's happening right now is that there's a backyard swale that just needs to be established, and that backyard swale could be established probably in the March-April time frame. April, May timeframe, but that's when we're hoping that we're going to be where we're going to be anyway with site plan approvals. So it'll all happen at the same time, and it'll happen quite quickly. Like, to get 100 loads of fill off of that property and dig the hole and to service it is not, it sounds like a lot, but it doesn't take a long time. With, you get 6 triaxle trucks there with a dozer and an excavator, you're talking a couple of days, and you know, you have proper drainage to the site. So I would expect within, you know, if we're February 1st now, you know, by, you know, that April, May timeframe, just when we're starting to get rid of a lot of the snow, we're going to be right in there taking all of those loads of fill away.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate comment. When I said it could take some time, there are additional considerations that the municipality has to consider, Andrew, outside of your building request. So thank you very much for your eagerness. However, we have to make sure it falls within the town's finances in order to make sure that we can do what we need to do if there is any components to that. So at this point in time, that was the reason why I said it could take some time. Council has not even discussed the needs of that area specifically, or how that could be budgeted for if there is any municipal reason to do so. So that was my reason, but thank you very much.
Yep, no problem. No, I understand that.
Thank you. So it looks like Sean's got his drainage plan up there right now. Sean, is that what I see?
Christine is facilitating this, so I'm completely hands off here. I
So
think you're just about.
Is that the document? Is that the document specifically that you'd like to speak to, Sean?
Yes, it's what I was mentioning earlier. I think it's one page up or one page down. You did pass it. Oh, so down again. Okay, so it was passed, so it's just up a little bit. There's a set of drawings with the cover page. Must be up. Oh, you just passed it. There it is. So a couple more down. And one more. There it is, right there.
Thank you very much, Christine, for pulling that up. Sean,
Yeah,
you have the floor if you'd like to speak on that, or if you can add anything more than Andrew did to the conversation.
Yeah, no, I have nothing really to add except just to simply show what we're talking about, just a visual of what we're talking about. That was all the purpose of pulling up the plan, to show that rear yard swale, which is on the west, and then all the drainage will come away from the property lines and to the road allowance on Green Street and North Street.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to swing back to Paul and Lillian for one quick moment here, just to make sure that they've had their opportunity. Normally we only give people 10 minutes, but I hear the concern, and there was the effort raised to try to bring more concerns to our table. So I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to fully speak their point. Paul, Lillian, anything more before I go on to Sylvia and Dennis?
No, it's fine.
Thank you.
I do see this plan but we're not engineers. So supposedly there's going to be a ditch at the back of our property that's going to take the water to North Street.
Sean, would you like to comment on that, or Andrew?
Yes, that's correct. And you can see that if you zoom in, you can see that is the plan. It should be clearly indicated on the plan there. You can zoom into that corner.
Yeah.
So that's along the west property line, and then it goes, there's some notations there, and then it will connect up with the North Street drainage ditch.
Okay, I am curious, because our neighbor 2 doors down has a wooden fence and our neighbor beside us has a metal fence. Is this going to be then taking more of your property, or is this going to be coming into our property?
No, so it's Andrew. So there will just be a swale. Like, there won't be per se a ditch where you would be like walking down 4 feet into a ditch or anything like that. It's like a swale that has a certain percentage, municipal standard swale. It has certain percentages to take it away. So this plan would be based off of your current topography of your land. So your current elevations of your land, our swale will meet into that, which would then allow for the water to drain towards the north. And then obviously, you know, there's obviously things that happen on site, that there's changes that are off of the site plan due to site conditions. And if you guys, we could sit and talk together and say, okay, well, why don't we, you know, maybe do a little bit of work on your side to make the swale more defined. And if you guys are up for that, we're happy to, but we don't necessarily have to in the plans. But, you know, obviously through the process, I'd be quite happy to work with you guys to make sure that, you know, it was a proper drainage situation for sure.
And
then
I
obviously,
appreciate that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The situation is when they did clear the land, what was going up north was higher than what was coming down south towards Cross Street. And that's why it drained into all our yards.
yeah, that'll all be rectified during our construction process, 100%.
Okay, so
Okay,
any more questions?
In addition to that, the site plan specifically, and this is on our website too, if you'd like to review that. I know that you had mentioned you're not an engineer, neither am I, but I'm sure Andrew or Sean would be able to answer any questions offline as well. Am I correct, gentlemen?
Yes, sorry, I couldn't get to the mute button quick enough. Yeah, anytime. Anyone can phone the town hall, or I can publicly give my cell phone right now. I have no issues at all ever coming and visiting and walking the properties or doing anything, or bringing a hard copy of the plan and talking about it as well. So
I do believe communication is definitely key.
Mhm.
So thank you very much. I think that the more people know about what's affecting them and the surroundings, I think the more comfortable people can become, and the more comfortable they can come letting council know some of their concerns moving forward. So I do appreciate that. Thank you. Paul and Lillian, I looked, I do not have your contact information. So possibly if you can forward your contact information to the town hall, I can get a hold of you.
I believe
Maybe.
Christine would already have it when I delivered the petition.
Okay, I see the
Was it
petition,
covered
but
by-
I specifically did not see, but I'll reach out to Christine. I'll get your information and we'll set up a time that I can come up and take a look at what you're talking about, okay?
Okay,
I really would appreciate that. Thank you very much.
thank you.
So if you're comfortable, I'm going to move on to Sylvia and Dennis. We are running a bit over the allotted time, but I think this is good, healthy conversation. So thank you very much, everyone. So at this point in time, I'm going to ask Sylvia or Dennis, whoever or both, to speak on their behalf if they wish. You have the floor, Sylvia or Dennis.
Okay, both of us are here.
Hi.
Hi. I guess, first of all, we wanted to know, we had no idea that the land was sold. We understood a woman had bought the property and was building a beautiful house back there. The next thing we hear is the petition going around, and Stephen, our neighbor, would well attest to that. But,
Yes.
that's a big concern to us. And I mean no disrespect to Mr. Isbester, but is his goal to own every property in this town? And you don't have to answer that, but I'm putting it out there. I am concerned that what he's building, and he does build beautiful houses, but the rent is sky high. And honestly, none of our children could afford to buy in this town anymore. They couldn't afford to rent in this town, so they're forced to go elsewhere. We've always maintained that Deserano has had reasonable rent, reasonable mortgages that we could live with. We don't have all the amenities that the cities do. We built here in '88. We still don't have a freaking sidewalk on the, to walk down, but we're okay with that, right? We pay high taxes. It's just, I just think, and it has nothing, you have our concerns about the zoning. And like you said, this has nothing to do with that. But I think at some point, somebody's got to look and say, whoa, what the heck is happening to this town? Dennis? Speak up. He doesn't say much.
No. So let me address. Sorry, Dennis, are you going to speak, bud?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Let me address a little let me address this the best I can, guys. So the town in this budget, we're discussing right now, looking at hiring a contracting agency, a municipal planner, to help us come up with the proper blend of housing for our community, to make sure that we have the right housing throughout our community. Right now, a few areas that we've identified as gaps in our service delivery for housing or opportunity is our older generation of people. So a lot of people are handcuffed to larger homes that are too big for them, that they can't live in. So what we're hoping, no, we're not hoping to do, hoping is not a strategy. We have a strategy, and that is to get a planner in there to help us make a municipal needs study to identify the proper amount of proper types of homes that we need developed in this community. We'll be looking at mixed uses. We'd be looking at single family residential. We'd be looking at 55 plus. We'd be looking at complexes similar to what Mr. Isbester is proposing today. We'd also be looking at other income bracket homes as well, to make sure that we're able to provide a blend to our community. So that is on the table right now for 2021 budget discussion. That's something our community has not done, something we believe that we need to do, because you're right. There's a lot of interest in our community. Houses are going up in value everywhere. To me and you're right. They're not very affordable, but they are compared to other places. So that is still the draw for Deseronto. We're still probably about 30% shy of what other houses in similar markets would. So to that point, this is still a very affordable place to live. What we're trying to make sure is that it has the right blend of housing to have a good blend of community. So that's a proposal right now, Sylvia, that's in the 2021 budget. We're not quite there yet. By the end of March, we'll have a budget, and hopefully we'll have a planning consideration in there to address those concerns specifically. I want to circle back to the email that you sent to Christine with respect to some of your expressed concerns. And I would like to let you know that a lot of those will be addressed in a site plan, Sylvia. A lot of them are already in the works of being addressed. We've already spoken with the OPP with respect to concerns regarding safety, children, and we've already spoken to the streets department what needs might be required. We also discussed switching those stop signs around, instead of going east and west, go north and south, in order to stop that flow of oncoming traffic. We've had the OPP traffic department take a look at the area to try to come up with other best practices and ideas. They will be submitting us a report to council one way or the other on that. So a lot of the concerns that you've raised are very valid and would be used during site planning and any future planning moving forward once we get a planner on board to help Deseronto with their economic situation.
Okay.
So
I do
that's where
know
we're at.
when last fall, when we had the drug house on Cross Street,
Yes.
the traffic was unreal, and it just didn't quit day and night, right? It was crazy.
So what we do, I know I'm going to get a little off topic on this, but I can't veer too far, Sylvia. What we normally do in those situations is we do something called a control patrol. We let the OPP know, and then they watch an area. What they do is they might put up a speed spy. They might do something. If we ask for a controlled patrol area just to take a look at how many people are coming through, who's rolling through stop signs, how fast they're going, they would be willing to do that. The community doesn't necessarily know this, but we've done this in multiple locations around town over this last term already, and we've received reports once, and we will do it again in areas that require it. So there are options at your disposal to help with these type of things, Sylvia. Just engage the town hall, engage Christine, engage Gail. We'd be more than happy to get this information in front of the OPP. We're paying a premium. Let's use it.
Well, it's slowed right down since the raid.
Absolutely. But
that's taken care of.
But just letting you know that we do have those options. We've done them in other areas that we thought were or heard that were high flow traffic areas, and we've got professional opinions, and we've actually implemented some steps to try to curb some of that behavior.
Okay.
So there are things that we can do.
Good. Dennis does want to talk now.
Okay, Dennis. What do you got?
I do have one concern about the town. I've lived here all my life, and the biggest concern I see here in the town right now is we're going to end up, if we keep having all these rental units, where it's cheaper to have a mortgage than it is to rent. And that's getting bad, I think. At one time, it cost you more to own a house than it did to rent.
It's a crazy world we're living in here, Dennis. Hence the reason why I think what we need to do is we need to get some professional help in here to help design Deseronto. Deseronto's seeing more economic interest right now than we've ever seen. And it's a good thing. 10 years ago, we were all complaining that nobody wanted to buy our houses. Now people are paying, above asking price for our houses. It's one of those things but we have to get a hold of it. Hence the reason why we're trying to be proactive now, get a planner in there, get the professional advice, get something on a strategic plan. So all these, like, for example, I'm sure Mr. Isbester would have liked it if he could have come to us and we would have already identified all these concerns for that area in advance. That would have been nice. That's where we're trying to get to with our planning department as we move forward.
Well, I think it would have been nice had we known that it was going up for sale again, because perhaps all of us would have, you know, bought the land, right? All of the neighbors would have went in. Who knows, right? It must have been a private sale.
I don't know how the property transferred hands, but it did. So is there anything else you'd like to comment on with respect to the business at hand? If you want to talk about anything else, Desirano, I don't mind shooting up there, dropping off my snowblower and having a chat.
No, we're good.
We're good.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just one moment. I just got to regroup. I got to go back to my computer here, grab up the agenda and find out where we're at. Okay, so we've had our delegations from the people at the table. I don't believe there's any more delegations to deal with tonight, but we do have the request for rezoning.
Mayor,
Yes.
can I move that we receive all the delegations and supporting evidence?
Absolutely. Can I also amend that we receive it and that we that it be transferred to planning?
That will be my motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. May I have a seconder for the deputy mayor's motion, please?
Councillor Smith. I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. I heard Councillor Clark in the background, so I imagine there will be no objection to that motion. Any objection? Hearing none. Carried. Thank you very much. Those concerns will be raised during any sort of subsequent meetings that might arise pertaining to this.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who contributed to the conversation tonight. I think it was a very interesting and open community discussion. So much appreciated for everybody involved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hudson. This was a new one for many of us on the table. We've been through a few, but for our new people and even for our new staff, this has been a new process. So you're right, a lot has been accomplished. With that being said, CAO, what do I need tonight?
We need a decision, and
Okay.
the decision will be, made at this meeting, and there's a bylaw on the public meeting to follow, the regular council meeting to follow, if council decides to proceed.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this out to the table. What are council's wishes? We've heard from the community. We've heard from the applicant. This is their second meeting about this. We understand what we're doing tonight. We're discussing zoning. Council's wishes.
Councillor Hudson.
Yes, Councillor Hudson.
I know it might not be the popular decision, and I truly respect and hear all of the community conversation this evening, but I am a fan of having development in the community, so I would go forward with rezoning and moving forward with the discussion on the property and then following through with the process.
Thank you. Just one moment. I need to call a temporary point of order. It looks like we've lost our deputy. Did we lose anybody else from council?
He says he's frozen. Can you ask to pause point of error? Or
Yeah,
point of
no,
order, sorry.
Yeah, I just called a point of order. He's frozen. So I'm just going to take a moment, ask him to get out and sign back in. Technology. So I'm just going to pause the meeting for a quick moment here, give the deputy mayor the opportunity to sign off, sign back in. I'd like to have all council at the table before making any decision moving forward. Councillor Hudson, if you were to present a motion with respect to what you just said.
I would propose a motion to grant the application for the rezoning.
Could I ask that that the application as presented be accepted with the holding provision?
Absolutely.
Further, that any additional concerns raised tonight at this meeting with respects to road improvements, water, wastewater services, fencing, privacy, landscaping, and safety concerns,
Everything.
or other issues be addressed through the site planning approval process and then further approved by council?
Absolutely, all the issues that were brought forward by community members, as just mentioned, to be added to the motion.
I think that would be prudent to make sure that the consideration is given to all involved.
Absolutely.
So before I go any further, I'd like to get the deputy mayor in, because he, not only is he a council member, he is a resident of that area. He may have want an additional concern or comment. Sorry, who just spoke? Sean's got his hand up. Sean, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just a reminder that if council needed me to speak to the items of traffic impact, pedestrian safety, land use compatibility, that I'm happy to do so. I just didn't want to speak out of turn or add to the length of the meeting, but I'm prepared to speak to those items if council wished I do so. Thank you.
I definitely appreciate that. I believe that many council members have had the opportunity to review, Sean, and so I saw your plan in detail. This is our second crack at it, but I'll once the deputy mayor gets back on, or sorry, if any council member has any specific questions right now that they would like to ask Sean or Andrew before we proceed, please feel free.
Chair, if I may.
Absolutely, Councillor.
Just to add to my thought as well, I would hope that through our motion and that conversation that Mr. Isbester, as a developer, if that moves forward, because that was part of the conversation, but that those conversations are held with the community as mentioned, if that is something that moves forward.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. This is the community's opportunity to have comment.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. So any further engagement within the community would come from one-on-one from them to a council member, and then we can definitely forward those comments to our planning and any further meetings pertaining to this.
And as a thought pertaining to the conversation, I just wanted to make that comment that I would encourage those conversations to happen between those two parties to make sure that everyone involved is well equipped with what's going on.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor, did you get back on?
I did. Do we have a motion on the table, sir?
We do. Shall I read the motion for you, sir?
Yes, please.
The council approves the application as presented with a holding symbol. Further, that any road improvements, water, wastewater servicing, fencing, privacy, landscaping, or any additional safety concerns or issues be addressed through the site planning approval process and then further approved by council. That's the motion. It was forwarded by Councillor Hudson. I do not have a seconder yet.
Thank you, sir. I'll second it to get it on the table.
Thank you very much. Seconded on the table. Councillor Hudson, if you have no further comment with respect to the motion that's on the table, I will defer to the deputy mayor for comment as the seconder. Are you comfortable with that, or would you like to speak?
I feel like I've spoken my mind.
Just 1 second, deputy. Sorry, Councillor Hudson, as the mover of the motion, would you have anything to say?
Pardon me. Sorry, I feel like I've spoken my mind on the issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. This is moved to get it on the table. Just a question about development fees and improvements to the infrastructure in that area. I am a little bit not clear on what the developer is willing to contribute to the enhancement of the infrastructure in order to get this development going. Could I please ask the developer what is his envisionment for a contribution for improvements for water, sewer, infrastructure such as roads and other parts of improving that area? Thank you.
Andrew, would you like to address the deputy's question, please?
Yes, no problem at all.
Thank you, sir.
It isn't set in stone, and I think that my original envision is very similar to what we did down on Water Street. Obviously, we're coming off a paved road there, but all of the surfaces will be paved. There'll be a landscape plan that'll be involved, be it buffers between the south and the west people, be it a fence or just nice landscaping or whatever the case would be. The servicing of the road would be specifically servicing my development. I wouldn't be putting in very much like I put in on Brant Street. I'm not looking to put a large 8-inch main in there so that someone could build a house across the street and tie into my infrastructure. Not that it would be mine, but I'm looking to put a service in. That hydrant issue, which was very interesting, was brought up. That is definitely on the plans and definitely there. In fact, there's at least one, if not two, possibly now. And then from a paving perspective, I'm quite sure I would get very good tenants, whether it was paved or not paved. But I also, you know, my thoughts are is we have to pave. I would like to try and pave it at least up until the entrance. I'm not looking to do sidewalks or anything like that. I just, there's no sidewalks down on Water Street. I don't have sidewalks over on Brant. There's, as Sylvia and Dennis pointed out, there's none on Cross and Maple, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm definitely up for discussion. There's not, wouldn't expect me going and servicing my property and not doing some degree of improvement to the road. I don't think that the town needs to be saddled with that. But if we want to take it a step further where you're into curb and gutter and you're into stormwater drainage and sidewalks and so on and so forth, it really will. And I've already been, you know, I didn't even have it to that extent on Brant Street, and I know what my price tag was over there. It'll make it cost prohibitive. But I'm quite open to talk to everything because it'll just make for a better project.
So
Thank you.
do you
Yep,
have a cap in mind, Mr. Spector, about what you're willing to go for, so we can sort of judge what we need to do here?
Well, no, I don't. But I'll tell you what I would have to do is defer back to my engineer, which I can talk to her and to her company because they've done it all, and I can get some costing from them as to exactly what she thinks the cost would be to bring paving, you know, like a regular commercial paving up to the entrance, and then what my servicing would be. Like my servicing is going to, it has to happen regardless. The only thing over and above would be, you know, paving of that street, basically. That would be the over and above. Like I already have to service it through the street or through the ditch line. That has to happen. That's my cost. I don't expect you guys to service my land. But it would be the after, you know, what would we want to see that street to look like when it's done? Knowing really like that, you know, it's just going to be those residents on that street, but what do we want to see it look like? And my vision is that, you know, I was going to talk to Joe about it, depending on how smoothly or not smoothly it went, but what does he want to see from me, or what do you as council, deputy mayor and mayor want to see, you know, what the look looks like when it's all said and done? And my thoughts are, you know, I'm going to make the commitment that whatever that cost would be, I would like to see the paving at least come up to, you know, to where the development sort of, or where traffic would run. And I'd have to look at the plan again, but the I know there's a garage across the street that is there, but it's something that we would be open for that as well. And I know that there was a servicing agreement already with the previous owner, and you know, we're really not looking to change the plan necessarily. You know, I know it's a little bit more of an intense development, but I don't like that. There was already a service agreement and a site plan put together with the previous owners as well. So, and I know that they were going to, obviously they were taking on that cost through that actual site plan and service agreement itself.
So, Andrew, to answer your question about what we would like to see, this is exactly why I'd like to see all the concerns go back to our planning discussion, and really hash this out as a council of if a building request does come forward, if the zoning changes. So to be fair, you'd ask specifically, what do we want to see? I think that that would definitely come out during further discussion from council. Deputy Mayor, do you have anything further you'd like to add?
No, just a question actually to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So with this motion and retaining the holding on this and the discussion for site plans, how do you see this project moving along? Mr. Spester has indicated he wants to move this fairly expeditiously so we can begin in the spring, probably COVID regulations permitting. So what are our next steps, sir?
Our next step would be decide whether or not that the council feels that is a suitable area for development. After that, we would take application. I would assume after being vetted by our building department, it would come over to the planning department. Planning department would then work on what conditions are required. It might even have a financial contribution to it with respect to where does the town wants to go with that whole area specifically. We'd have to call in our department heads to further vet the application to make sure. But that's how it would, and that's how I envision that would go. But I have no problem deferring to the CAO if she feels that, you know, from her conversations with the county or our planning department officials, that she would assume it would go any different than that. Christine?
Yes, all of the issues will be dealt with through the site plan approval process. This is simply a request, a rezoning application, and all of the bigger concerns and the negotiations and all of that is done through the site plan process with the department heads involved. And we've already begun doing that with Andrew. Some of the work has already been, if you look at the pre-consultation document that's in the agenda package, we've already gone through the county. The county has explained all what Andrew and Sean were to expect through the process. It's all laid out in there, and those items are all discussed through the site plan approval process.
One follow-up question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Considering we've had several deputations and a petition with at least 30 signatures on it, I need some assurance from staff that the site plan process will definitely involve council input as the stewards and representatives of the community here. We have a lot of stakeholders who have expressed, I think, legitimate concerns, and we have a developer willing to meet a lot of those concerns. So I think there needs to be certainly a spot for council to circle back on before any agreements are necessarily inked.
So thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. CAO, this question is to you. The motion specifically reads that these issues will be addressed through the site plan approval process and then brought to council for approval. That specifically addresses what the Deputy Mayor has just said. Any reason why, like that's specifically the motion. Site plan process will come back to council for review and approval. Do you see anything in there that does not make sense? What I just said?
No, that's correct. It has to be, any agreements would have to be approved by bylaw.
And absolutely. But to the Deputy Mayor's point, the intent is to make sure that that we're working for a win-win-win, addressing the concerns of the local residents, as well as working with the contractor to provide, I guess, any upgrades that we would feel is required and necessary to move forward with the acceptance of a building permit. Is that correct?
Mayor, I would agree with that.
Okay, that's
my one.
Yes.
My one concern is.
Yeah.
If council is brought in at the last of this whole process, it could delay it. So I would ask that staff perhaps come up with a process that would engage council early on.
So
just to make it more expedient for the developer and the community.
Absolutely, and that would be our intent moving forward, Deputy Mayor. And I give staff the opportunity to comment, but I think I can pretty much comment right now in saying that moving forward, we will definitely get notice immediately. We will get this on the table as part of a planning discussion. We do not want to hold people up, but we do not want to make quick or frivolous decisions. So absolutely, Deputy Mayor, this will be provided to council with due time, or it just will not get tabled at that time, would have to be pushed back. But that is not going to be the reality of this situation. Do you have any further comments, Deputy Mayor?
No, sir.
CAO, I heard you speaking in the background there. Do you have any further comments or not?
None.
Thank you very much. So I have a motion on the table by Councillor Hudson. I can reread the motion if anybody requires me to do so, but it says that we would approve the zoning, but with a holding symbol. And that is to satisfy the conditions that we've said in the motion. I have a mover, I have a seconder. We've had some healthy debate. We've listened to the community. We've taken their concerns and we've transferred to the planning department, which is us, to discuss during a site plan process if that were to come our way, which I assume it will, if this motion were to pass tonight. I am going to ask if there is any further comment from council before I ask for all in favor or any objection. Last chance from council.
I would just like to ask, who seconded the motion, Your Honor?
The deputy mayor seconded the motion in order to get it on the table, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a mover with Councillor Hudson, seconded by the deputy for discussion purposes. Okay, so any questions pertaining to the business at hand? If not, I'm going to ask, are there any objections?
Clark.
Everhardis.
So I have 2 objections. And this is objections to the zoning amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So do I have 2 for? Councillor Smith, you're not objecting, sir?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so that comes down to, I guess I vote. I'm for the zoning change with the holding provision. With that being said, motion passes 3-2. Thank you very much. I'm going back to the agenda here for a moment. So Paul and Lillian, I will get your information from the town hall. I'll reach out to you within the next 48 hours and set up an appointment to come view your area with the streets department. Hopefully, if not, I'll try to maybe make an appointment to swing up on the weekend when I'm not working.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I just confirmed with the cover letter that I forwarded to Christine, our phone and email address are there.
Okay, thank you very much. I do have a full-time job that I work during the day, so
Yeah.
getting out during the week, I can have some availability, but weekends usually work a little bit better for me. So if weekends work fine for you, maybe that would be the preferred time.
That'd be great.
This weekend's good with us, yeah.
Perfect. I'll probably be looking at sometime probably Sunday afternoon, but I'll reach out and just confirm, okay?
Okay, I have to go to work at 3 in the afternoon, which means I leave here by 2, so early midday.
Not an issue. I can make it early afternoon. Actually, I can even make it early in the morning, whatever works. I just chose afternoon because most people prefer that better on a Sunday, but I'm up.
No, I'm up in the morning too, so.
Okay, we'll reach out. We'll do this offline. I'll reach out to you. We'll sit down and I'll come up and see the place.
Okay.
And make sure that any concerns that you have are properly represented at the next phase of this process, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Dennis and Sylvia, thank you very much for participating tonight. Your comments are very appreciated and they're definitely heard and they will be used in any process moving forward. So thank you very much for your time tonight. And thank you to Sean and Andrew for coming and putting their thoughts forward and answering any questions that we might have to help with this meeting moving forward. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to 8.1, page 47 of bylaw 27-1-21 to confirm the proceedings of council. Councillor Hudson, could you read that, please? Or do I have somebody else that would like to read it?
I'll read it, Your Worship. I have it in
Thank
front
you
of me.
very much.
I move that bylaw be read a first, second, third time and come into force this 27th day of January 2021.
Thank you very much. And may I have a seconder for the confirming bylaw, please? Confirming of the meeting.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. Any objection to the confirmation of this meeting? I'm hearing none. Carried. Thank you. I'm going to ask for a movement of adjournment. Motion to adjourn, please.
Also move.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. So I want to let everybody know, as soon as you're out of this Zoom meeting, please link onto your next Zoom meeting for a regular council meeting.